Okay, so for this video I want to discuss a theory I've been gelling in the back of my head for a while. It's not a particularly original theory, it's one that's kind of obvious. It's that the seven Archons each represent one of the seven deadly sins. It's a common thing, and there's plenty of other people who have probably talked about this, but I'm gonna have a go at it. Okay, so let's start with Venti. He was a little weird because teal is not one of the colors associated with one of the seven deadly sins. So each sin has a color associated with it. You've got purple for pride, red for wrath, orange for gluttony, yellow for greed, green for envy, blue for lust, and then light blue for sloth. And teal, technically, isn't any of those colors. You could maybe associate it with light blue, technically, but then you also have to remember that cryo is also a form of light blue, if not white. So both of those colors, technically, teal and white, don't quite fit. And obviously there's no element that's orange, because pyro is red and then geo is yellow. So that kind of threw me for a sec, but then I just decided I'll just screw that part of the theory and move on. So Venti represents, I believe, sloth. And this is pretty obvious. I mean, he spends a lot of time sleeping. He doesn't do his duty. He doesn't rule Mondstadt. And the big thing about sloth isn't just laziness, which technically Venti isn't lazy. He's just sleepy. But the part of sloth is also just not living up to your potential. And that's a pretty big thing with Venti, is that he doesn't live up to his potential as an Archon. When you look at the other Archons, when you look at Nahida, Raiden Shogun, even Zhongli, they were pretty active in their rules of, well, okay, maybe not so much Nahida, because, she was stuck in prison, but Rukkhadevata, better example. All of them were very active rulers, and Nahida, now that she's free, is a active ruler. Venti is not, and that is partially associated with his domain of freedom. He didn't want to rule because he didn't think it made sense. But that's also why I think he is sloth, because yes, that doesn't make sense, but it is still not living up to your potential. So he is sloth. So next we have Zhongli, and his sin is greed, and which is a little weird because he's not particularly greedy, but he is somewhat materialistic. So his thing is that he doesn't want everything. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. He wants the best. He will settle only for the best. He wants top quality, near perfection, best materials, best ingredients, best everything. That's what he wants. If he wants something, it needs to be the best it can possibly be. That's why he's greed. Okay, so next up is A, the Raiden Shogun, and she's a little weird. So I cannot say with 100% certainty that she is the sin that I associate her with. There are three, basically. The one I think that she is, the one that most other people think that she is, which I disagree with, and then a second one that some people think that she is. So the one that a lot of people associate with her with, the one I disagree with, is Wrath. I do not agree with this. She is not an angry god in particular. They point out that she left a slew of dead gods during the Archon War, when she fought them during Inazuma. I counter that by saying it's a war. Stuff happens. People die. That doesn't it specifically indicate that she is a wrathful person. She just did what she had to do. They also point out that she slew the giant snake god from Watatsumi Island, and then left the giant gorge full of electro. Well, technically, yes, she did do all that, but she only killed the snake god after A, it attacked, and B, she concluded that there was no other way to end the war than by killing it, which is a logical decision, not a wrathful one. And then as for the gorge full of electro, gods are gods. When they use their power, the world changes. It's just a thing that happens. It happens in multiple different cases. Zhongli made islands with his stone spears. When the Lord of Amrita died, the previous Hydro Archon, she left a pool of clear dew on the world that gives you gifts if you give it things. Gods affect the world. It's not specifically her being angry, it's just she had power, it affects the world. It's a thing. Plus, she's the god of eternity. It stands to reason that when she uses her power, it has a very long-lasting effect. It's part of the thing. The other one that people associate her with, which I could kind of see, and I did kind of flip back and forth on it, is lust. And it's the idea that she puts her desire above all reason. I ended up going not with that one because I thought a different sin worked better, technically. So it could be lust. She could be lust. But I think pride works better. She is an arrogant god. Not unjustifiably. She is a very strong, very powerful god. But I think that she is very prideful. Her description on the character ascension material for Electro characters talks about how her body is the noblest and most eminent of all this world. It should hold absolute control over the world. So she has a very high opinion of herself. And on top of that, I mean, if you think about it, she is kind of an arrogant god. She thought she could literally, just by the power of her being her, stop all progress in Inazuma. And she managed to do it for quite a decent amount of time. Not like real progress. I mean, they still had like advances in technology, but as a civilization, they generally kind of just stopped growing and evolving to an extent. And that takes a lot of ego to think that she can do that. And then when the Traveler survived her slash attack, her Muso no Hitotachi, what did she do? She kind of just went, okay, well, next time I'll just kill him. I'll just do something better and kill him anyway. She wasn't really on the back foot about it. She just said, well, he's interesting. Oh, well, I'll just deal with it later. Also, another thing, she has undoubtedly the most amount of titles of all the gods, and all of them are just praising her magnificence. Now, that might just be Inazumans being really devoted to her, but it kind of adds to the point of she is okay with a little bit of grandeur. So she is, in my opinion, pride. She is rather arrogant, which, again, is rather justifiable. She is one of the strongest gods. Honestly, I put her as the second strongest Archon. So, pride. Pride for A is my guess. I don't agree with Wrath. I can kind of see Lust, but I think pride fits better. Okay, so moving on to Nahida. This one's a little sad in that her sin is envy. And envy is a sin I personally don't like. I think it's a very mean-spirited sin. But in her case, it's not, I hate you because you have something I don't have. It's more of a self-deprecating, low self-esteem, I wish I was as good as you version of envy, which is still a little weird, but not as mean-spirited. It's just kind of sad and pitiful. Not like pitiful as in looking down at them, but pitiful as in it makes you feel pity for them. It makes you feel pity that she has such a low opinion of herself and what has happened to her throughout her 500 years that makes her think that she's not worthy of being the Archon for Sumeru. And on the plus side, Nahida is moving away from this, partially because Rukkhadevata doesn't, the memory of Rukkhadevata doesn't exist for the greater world anymore, but also because now she's free, she's interacting with people, she's learning, she's actively taking a part in ruling Sumeru. It's giving her more self-confidence. So, of all of the Archons so far, she is the only one who's actively moving away from her sin. Nonetheless, her sin, as of right now, is still envy, and she does have a tendency to compare herself to other people, and she thinks she comes up short even when she actually doesn't. Which is a little sad, honestly. Okay, so now we move further into the realm of speculation than we did with the other four, because the last three Archons we have not technically met yet. In the case of Focalors, we kind of maybe met her, so I am of the opinion that Furina, in the Overture trailer, is Focalors. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but we don't have a confirmed thing yet, so whatever. But nonetheless, we still have some information on Focalors, and I'm going to go with my assumption that Furina is Focalors, so we can also take some hints from the trailer. So, with the next three Archons, they're a bit of a toss-up because Focalors and the Tsaritsa could be possibly any two of the remaining sins, and then Murata, the Pyro Archon, which we know the least about, could be any of the three, and possibly also Pride. So it's a little weird. But we're talking about Focalors now. I am of the opinion that Focalors is gluttony. Now, it's not the eats everything in sight gluttony. It is the overindulgent gluttony. Like, she tends to overindulge in things. Specifically, in her case, I think the thing that she overindulges in is drama. Like, entertainment, thrill, drama. She feeds on just intrigue and twists of fate and just random stuff that shouldn't happen. She seems, from the trailer of the Overture, she is easily bored and wants things that excite her. She feeds on thrills. And that's why I think she is gluttony. She loves to overindulge. She's over the top, overindulgent personality, and overindulges in thrills and drama and just the big production of it all. And she loves the production. She loves the unexpected, is basically where I'm going here. And she overindulges in that, and she is a glutton for fun, basically. Okay, so next up is Murata, the Pyro Archon. And we know very, very little about Murata, which makes this a very difficult thing to do. Which is why I say she could be any of the remaining three sins. Technically, she could also be Pride, but I'm not going to do that. A is Pride, I'm going to put that to a side. So she could either be gluttony, wrath, or lust. As of right now, since we know next to nothing about her, I personally think she is wrath, but not by much. It's like, I think it's like a 34% chance that she's wrath, and then 33% chance that she's either lust or gluttony. And honestly, we won't know anything, we won't be able to say anything definitive about her until the end of the Fontaine Archon quest, at the very least, when we get Focalors telling us more about her. However, based off the fact that she is a war god, and that Aventi calls her a wayward, warmongering wretch, I think she's going to be wrath. I do honestly think she's going to be wrath. It's just, it fits a little too well for it not to be. She's a war god, she's pyro, she's red, she's gonna be wrath. Those are my reasons, honestly. And it's just, it just fits too well not to work. Okay, so the last Archon is obviously the Tsaritsa, and by now you should probably have guessed that I think her sin is lust. Technically, wrath works too. She's pissed off and wants to burn the world. Totally understandable why it could be wrath. I just think wrath fits Murata better. But it could also be wrath for her and just lust for Murata. She has battle lust or whatever. But in the case of the Tsaritsa, she has a desire for revenge against Celestia for whatever it is in the past that Celestia did. We don't know exactly what it was that Celestia did. It could have been the destruction of Conria specifically. She objected to this. It could have been that something caused her to lose her love. That is where I'm sitting in the camp of the Tsaritsa was the god of love, and then Celestia somehow took away her love, and now she wants vengeance. So that's what I think. So I think that in regard to the Tsaritsa, it's lust. She has a singular desire for revenge, and she does not care about the consequences. She will burn the world to the ground to get what she wants. And it's not like a burning, wrathful hatred. It is determination. That's the difference. I think she is determined. She's angry, obviously, but it's more determination than anger that's fueling her. And that is the essence, to an extent, of lust. It is desire regardless of consequences. In the case of the Tsaritsa, it's a firm determination to get what she wants, regardless of who she has to hurt to get there. That's why I think she's lust. Okay, so well, those are the sins that I think are associated with each of the Archons. If you agree, don't agree, whatever, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this video at all interesting, please like and subscribe. And also, I will be doing a live stream of Fontaine when it comes out on August 15th. I'll start to stream it around 10 Central. So if you're interested in hearing my reaction to the general world and playing through it, please stop by. So, have a good rest of your day. Bye.